If you dare to enter this time machine, beware. You're not just flipping through brittle pages or savoring yellowed newsprint. No, you're stepping into a vortex of blood, brilliance, and legacy. Sport Magazine's December 1949 issue does not merely report on sports history, it erupts with it. From the snow-covered golf greens to the smoky wrestling halls, from the gridirons of roaring crowds to the humble hardwoods of college gyms, this issue captures a world in motion, a world where greatness was forged not on social media but in sweat, soil, and silence. This isn't a magazine, it's a reckoning. The fire begins in the squared circle, where the unforgettable one for the book ignites like a flare across a forgotten sky. Frank Graham resurrects the name Jack Curley, a man whose life wasn't a biography, it was a collision of continents. Curley was a promoter, yes, but in the way Beethoven was a pianist. He turned professional wrestling into symphony, scandal, and spectacle. This wasn't the postmodern parody of choreographed flips and comedy acts. This was a world where names like Gotch, Hackenschmidt, and Zbyszko walked the earth like titans, and Curley was the puppeteer pulling strings with imperial force. He booked stadiums in Vienna, stole headlines in New York, and made wrestling a global storm. Along the way, he dined with presidents, negotiated with revolutionaries, and toured with the Vatican Choir. Yes, you read that correctly. The Vatican Choir. Curley wasn't just ahead of his time. He dragged time forward behind him. His legacy, tarnished by leeches, rivals, and changing tastes, still casts a long, proud shadow across every wrestling ring on this planet. And from that battle of bodies, we step into a far colder war, the winter golf circuit. Winter Golf by the one and only Grantland Rice reads not like a sports feature, but like a holy sermon whispered through the frost. Ben Hogan, fresh off a grueling season, made the fatal mistake of rest. He took a month off. That's it, 30 days. And in the Los Angeles Open, he returned a shadow, off in judgment, broken in confidence, and lost in rhythm. Rice captures the chaos that a single lapse creates in the delicate machinery of a champion's mind. Byron Nelson returned too, and while his shot still sang, his edge was dulled. He could no longer sustain the psychic pressure of the moment. These were not swing issues. These were soul issues. As Rice explains, the winter circuit is no vacation. It is a furnace of hunger and heat, stretching from California to Arizona to Texas to New Orleans, then into Florida, the Carolinas, and finally Augusta, where the wisteria bloom like trophies earned in silence. The average golfer, stuck indoors, half practicing with corkballs and worried glances from their spouses, has no idea what the pros endure. They battle hotel costs, travel fatigue, caddy fees, and psychological collapse. A single swing could mean thousands. A single lapse, everything. This piece isn't about golf, it's about obsession. It's about what it means to pursue excellence when the world is cold and quiet and not watching. But the pageantry does not end there. A few pages later, we are hurled into the hardwood trenches of college basketball as the All-America team of 1949 is named with reverence. Here lies the genesis of legends like Bob Cousy, who danced on the court like a jazz solo long before the NBA spotlight found him. Alongside him, names like Sherman White, Charlie Scher, and Jim Riffey shine like forgotten constellations. They played for the love of the game, not for shoe deals. They played in gyms that smelled of sweat and varnish, not billion-dollar arenas. Coaches like Adolph Rupp and Claire B. commanded not just plays, but reverence, teaching boys how to win with honor and fall with pride. The selections in this issue were not just basketball players. They were pioneers. They were the mold from which the sport would later carve icons. Then comes the call to arms. Dear Tim, Let's Settle the War is an editorial drenched in fire and foresight, directed toward NFL magnate Tim Mara. It's more than a suggestion. It's a desperate plea for the survival of professional football itself. The NFL and the upstart AAFC were at war, dividing fans, players, and attention. Salaries were soaring, but the infrastructure couldn't keep up. Teams were folding, fan interest was splintering, and the future of the entire sport teetered on the brink. The writer doesn't dance around the issue. He cuts through it with a blowtorch. Unification was the only way forward. This isn't hindsight. This is prophecy, a glimpse into the very real fragility that once haunted the game we now treat like religion. And what would sport be without the raging voice of its readers? In the letters to the editor, we hear the truth, the beautiful, unfiltered pulse of the American fan. Some sing the praises of Sid Luckman, a man carved from the marble of football gods. Others lambast the state of boxing matchmaking, decrying fixed fights and avoided contenders. One reader even waxes poetic about Johnny Lujack, Notre Dame's golden arm, already flirting with immortality. These aren't just letters, they're shouts from the bleachers, laced with passion, pride, and fury. Amidst the headlines and grandeur comes the stinging snap of punchlines, a column of barbs, wisecracks, and beautifully mean-spirited sports wit. It's where coaches get roasted, players get humbled, and no hero is too big to avoid a jab. In a world now addicted to curated comments and digital filters, these jokes land like brass knuckles, funny, fast, and deeply real. Tucked within the folds, we find tributes to Sid Luckman and Johnny Lujack that read more like ancient ballads than journalistic profiles. Luckman is portrayed not merely as a quarterback, but as a battlefield general, painting touchdowns across the autumn sky. Lujack, meanwhile, is seen as the heir to a tradition that blends academia with athletic annihilation. Together, they represent the holy lineage of football's golden age. And yes, boxing is everywhere. Glorious, violent, unpredictable boxing. The fallout from Liston's ban still simmers. Ezzard Charles is mentioned in reverent tones, and there's even a murmur, a tiny one, about a young, hungry fighter from Brockton named Marciano. The sport is cracked, but not broken. Not yet. And finally, though no fanfare is given to it, a hauntingly powerful essay on off-season mental discipline closes the loop. The message is brutal and clear. The average athlete fades in winter, but champions sharpen. In shadow, in silence. They break down their swings, build up their minds, and do the work no one sees. It is the season of invisibility, and the season where future titles are born. Sport, December 1949, is not a collection of articles. It is a living testament to obsession, struggle, and glory. These pages do not beg to be remembered, they demand it. This is the issue that understands greatness doesn't just happen on Sunday. It begins in the cold, in the quiet, in the lonely hours between fame and failure. So if you still believe in grit, in legacy, in stories that matter, then like, share, and subscribe, because the past is not gone. It's just waiting for you to turn the page.